Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Brain Cancer Diaries. As you can see, I still have the beard. My kids have not granted me permission to shave just yet. They want me to achieve what they call full wizard look, and so that might take a while, so sorry, you're gonna have to keep watching episodes for the time being as I work on that over the months ahead, see how far I get. Anyway, with that being said, I wanted to give you a heads up. As you can tell from the graphic at the top of this particular episode, we talk about some sensitive stuff that isn't necessarily for everybody, although I think everybody should hear it. And that would be the discussion of, shall we say, some sensitive bodily functions that aren't necessarily appropriate to discuss at the dinner table. Our guest, Jelena Tompkins, she has a video log that I think deals with such issues extremely well.
Welcome to Life as a Cancer Survivor. Jelena here to tell you all about the symptoms that I experienced leading up to my colorectal cancer diagnosis.
Aside from the sort of initial reaction, I think for a lot of people to just sort of snicker and giggle a lot when they hear about things like this, I think it's very important to talk about sort of the real deal of what happens when you go through an experience like hers. I think, although she had a particular kind of cancer that's different than mine, I think most people with any type of cancer would probably recognize some of this stuff.
The next day I ran into my oncologist after my mapping CT scan, and they asked if I had heard anything about the chemotherapy pills yet.
While her style of discussing things like this is definitely different than mine, I think I really enjoy her approach. I find her videos highly compelling, and they talk about some delicate issues that really need discussing in a way that's both adult and mature, unlike me. Anyway, with that being said, while there are some perhaps some comical moments in this video, I wanted to stress that none of the disease stuff and none of the cancer stuff or any of these side effects or symptoms should be taken any less than very seriously. I think her videos really show the many ways in which cancer and other serious chronic illnesses can really sort of wage misery upon those afflicted, and hopefully that just sort of makes you a little bit more comfortable in understanding them and wanting to do something about it beyond some of the sort of the more uncomfortable potty talk, if you will. But anyway, I hope you enjoy this video.
This is Rudy. He has brain cancer. This series is about much more than that, though. It's about people with all kinds of cancers and serious chronic illnesses who might help him process his own diagnosis. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's serious, but hopefully it's always interesting.
So I started experiencing symptoms in August 2015. I was experiencing rectal bleeding, and I was bleeding like when I was passing gas.
First, I have to just comment, just the idea of bloody farts, like what? That in itself is pretty shocking.
Yeah, and so I had to fart on the toilet, like otherwise I'd have to change my underwear every time I passed gas.
That's insane, because that's obviously enough to kind of get you sort of like, what is going on with my body?
So I went in for a physical for months. They tried multiple things, and then kind of as a last resort, set me in for a colonoscopy. And when I woke up from it, the woman that did the colonoscopy for me had me in the room with the curtain, and my husband, my daughter, they had her sit outside. So I was like, what's going on? And she said that they found a mass, that she was like 99% sure that it was cancer, and she was putting a rush on the biopsy. So when they put a rush on the biopsy, it's usually not good news.
Not that many people are very familiar with colorectal cancer. I mean, 3 different names depending on where you are: colorectal cancer, rectal cancer, bowel cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I think that
colon cancer.
Colon cancer. I think that shows in and of itself how much mystery there is about it. So when you were told you had cancer of that delicate, sensitive area, what were your first thoughts?
I didn't even know that you could get cancer there. That's how little I knew about it. So I was shocked for sure because we had no family history, and like, I mean, when you Google symptoms, like, it's always cancer whenever you're looking at something that's wrong with you. And then it turned out it was cancer in me.
My name is Jelena, and I became a rectal cancer survivor on May 25th, 2016.
I mean, your mind already goes to, I've got cancer. Like, in our generation, cancer was basically a death sentence. So that was kind of like where my mind first went. And at the time when I was diagnosed, my daughter was only 5 and was finishing up preschool.
One thing I think is kind of insane about all of this is that, like, I was watching one of your videos and I wasn't actually even aware that colorectal cancer is like the number 2 cancer killer in the United States behind breast cancer. And yet, I mean, I had no idea. I consider myself a fairly educated person on the world of cancers compared to the average citizen.
I did not look anything up on it other than what color the ribbon was, because I had no idea even what color like colon cancer, colorectal cancer was. So, and there were even conflicting things about that. Like, I found one on rectal cancer that said it was brown. I'm like, okay, I can cancer in the butt and my colon and my ribbon is brown. The blue is okay, but my husband was the one that did all of like the research on exactly what it was. He looked at all of like the death rates, treatment plans, and things like that. He's a very like logical person, so he was able to kind of separate out the emotion of his wife having cancer from like looking at the info and not assuming that the worst that he was reading was what was going to happen to me. The surgery that I had was called a lower anterior resection. It's also known as LAR surgery. So for mine, they took out a foot, and it was both colon and rectum that they removed. So I got an ileostomy during that surgery as well, where they diverted part of my small intestine out of my stomach. So I was pooping out of my stomach for 7 months after, while everything healed up, and then I went in for my reversal.
And just so people are clear, I mean, wasn't that you're just pooping out of your stomach, there's a colostomy bag, right?
Yes, there's bags that you wear. The ileostomy, the output is a lot more liquidy. So with a colostomy, it's where your large intestine is coming out, so it looks basically like a normal bowel movement. But mine, it was more liquid and needed empty more frequently. It was busy all the time. I tried getting tips on how to like slow it down for just changing the bag, but I pooped all over myself pretty much every bag change. When you have the ileostomy and it gets reversed, there's definitely lots of changes that happen when you are missing a foot of your digestive system and when it hasn't been used for months. So the transition initially is really rough, and you're going to the bathroom like 20, 30 times a day. It's pretty much like liquidy stuff. So imagine like how much your butt burns after 1 or 2 rounds of diarrhea and multiply that by 20 or 30. That's kind of how it is for the first couple of weeks after your reversal. And still, I'm coming up on like 3 years that I haven't had the ileostomy, and I still, like daily, I have to take psyllium husk and Imodium and probiotics just to regulate it so that I'm only going 2 to 3 times a day and that it looks like a normal bowel movement and isn't burning me. But even that system is still not perfect, and my body still has bad days where it just wants to empty everything that's in me. And I spend like an hour on the toilet emptying everything out that's inside of me.
As being declared no evidence of disease, mean, why start the video log? Why do what you do? As people won't really understand why people who have been through sort of a cancer journey of their own, why they keep talking about it for years after the worst of it is over.
I mean, it's still alive in you. I mean, just like your body holds on to that trauma that you've been through. Just because it's done doesn't mean you're perfectly back to normal when everything is all good. I thought that everything was like all good and back to normal, and then it's like a year ago this weekend, I started having panic attacks, most likely based on the trauma that I went through from cancer. And so I went to therapy. I'm still on medication to control them. But part of my therapy that was just like talking through what I've been through. And so the therapist just kept telling me, like, the more you talk about it, the more you'll be able to process it even better and just kind of get it out there so you're not bottling it up anymore. And I didn't feel like I had really bottled it up when I was first diagnosed, but I guess like talking about it more and kind of trying to relive it, like when I first started my channel, writing down some of these things was really tough for me and kind of gave me like anxious feelings, like reliving it. But then once I actually started talking about them, I feel like it's kind of like releasing this burden off of me of what I've been through.
People ask me why I talk to people who don't have brain cancer. You know, fairly rare. I'd say probably almost half of my guests that I've had on don't have brain cancer. I mean, why appear on a series called Brain Cancer Diaries? What interested you?
Cancer sucks in general. So if we can help each other out and get more knowledge out, I mean, people that watch your channel will maybe come over and watch mine. People that watch mine will learn more about brain cancer as well. Yeah, we're kind of all in this together, trying to spread awareness for all sucky cancers.
Did you enjoy the video that you just watched? Then please share it all over social media. And while you're at it, could you also go ahead and subscribe to the Brain Cancer Diaries channel that you're on right now here on YouTube?
Like, share, and subscribe.